Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the private server Everlasting. We are once again with our Scrapper, Silver Phoenix. This is our 78th episode. And for this particular episode, I'm going to do something a little different. I recorded this episode as normal originally, with full gameplay accompanied by an on the fly narration. However, for reasons I will explain shortly, I wasn't happy with my narration, and I decided not to make it public. Instead, this episode will be like a summary. I will show a few scenes of what transpired in game while I explain my reasons for not releasing the full narration. Hopefully, no one who has watched this series up to this point will object. And now for the reasons. I recorded this episode in early June, on the day when I got back from a long and stressful trip to visit my mother and my sister. During the visit, my mother took ill and ended up in the hospital for a few days. I spent hours in the hospital and then more hours staying with her to help her recover. While doing this, I couldn't, of course, play any City of Heroes, but I was able to log into the Discord, and on Discord, I watched as my supergroup, the United, completely melted down. By the time I had returned from my trip, the United had been divided into two supergroups by a process that had left a great deal of acrimony and resentment. Several of my favorite people in the group had quit, and for procedural reasons, because they were trying to reorganize things, when I logged in to record this episode, my character had been removed from the original group. It would have been a simple matter to contact the leaders and ask for a re-invite. They had made plain that anyone who asked would be brought back in. They were just trying to clean up the roster of the two teams so that everything was correct, and had decided that my character belonged on the second team. However, rather than asking for an invite back to the group, I gave the matter some thought and decided that there had been too much drama. I don't like guild drama, so I decided to part ways with them and seek another roleplay group that would hopefully be as friendly as the United had been, but free of the drama. I did eventually find such a group, as you'll learn in future episodes. So the story has a happy ending, spoiler alert. However, at the time of this recording, I was still quite frustrated by what I viewed as the serious mistakes made by the guild's leadership and by some of the attitude the guild leaders had shown toward their members. Consequently, as originally recorded, this episode lasted nearly an hour, and most of it was a long-winded, rambling diatribe against the guild's leadership, and I didn't pull any punches. I stand by everything I said in that original recording. I don't think anything I said was unfair or untrue. Nevertheless, looking back, I now think it was bad form to say those things publicly. The guild's drama had unfolded in private on a Discord server that was not wide open to everyone. It would have been inappropriate for me to air their dirty laundry in public, especially now that I was no longer in the guild. Additionally, as I reviewed the video more than once to try and decide whether to post it or not, my narration came off, to me, looking more and more like sour grapes. Therefore, I decided that I would not post the full video of my indignant tirade against the guild's leadership. Months have gone by now. Frankly, I don't even know if the guild exists anymore, now that I quit it, or if the old leaders are still in charge. Experience tells me that such things are often in flux in guilds, and who knows if they're still the way they were. It's all water under the bridge at this point. And so what you're seeing in this episode is a series of clips that show what happened to the character during my missions, but with the narration removed. Suffice it to say that I had left my old supergroup, and in this episode I rather ungenerously and pointedly explained why. Since I prefer not to air those grievances in public now that I've had time to cool off and think about it, I've sanitized the video to avoid offending former guildmates should any of them watch this series, as unlikely as that may be. Unfortunately, some of the story content of Strega Island and Circle of Thorns missions is going to be dramatically cut here to stay within the running time of this new narration, which is quite short. If anyone is disappointed with the missing content, although I find it hard to imagine that anyone would be, I apologize. But I think courtesy is important, and I don't wish to be hurtful or discourteous to my former guild leaders or guild members, many of whom I still consider friends. This concludes our brief episode 78. In the next episode, we'll return to our regularly scheduled missions, story arcs, and Scrapperlock rants and diatribes about things other than guildmates, like game bugs, or Circle of Thorn ghosts, or street sweeping. But for now, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.